This is Insurance Marketing with John Carroll, Episode 4. Let's rock.
Welcome to Insurance Marketing with John Carroll, your resource for marketing ideas, sales tips, and business strategies that help agents like you survive and thrive. And now your host, John Carroll.
Welcome to the fourth episode of Insurance Marketing. I'm your host, John Carroll, and today I have a really exciting and extremely important topic that I want to discuss with you. I'm talking today about something that, quite frankly, scares the hell out of a lot of the insurance agents that I know: online reviews. Today, you're going to learn why online reviews are an aspect of your agency marketing that you cannot afford to ignore. And I'm going to give you 10 awesome tips that you can start implementing today to help grow your business. So first of all, what's the deal with online reviews? What am I even talking about? Well, when I refer to online reviews, I'm talking about websites like Google and Yelp and Yahoo, yellowpages.com, where users are encouraged to go out and write reviews of their experience doing business with local businesses like your agency. Now, if you're like the typical insurance agent, this whole idea probably scares the hell out of you. The reason is, unless you're brand new to this business, there's always going to be somebody out there that hates your guts. I understand. Insurance is a tough business. I used to be a claim adjuster. I spent several years doing that. So I understand that, people have claims that get denied, or they have policies that get non-renewed for sometimes something that wasn't even their fault. And that stuff happens all the time. And a lot of this stuff is out of your control. But let's face it, even the best insurance agent in the world is going to make a mistake every now and then. And quite frankly, the opportunity exists that people could be out there being very upset about you and having bad things to write. Now, I'll tell you, I've even heard of instances where people have written negative reviews about an agency and it wasn't even the right agency. Now, are you scared? Because I'm kind of trying to get you a little bit scared. I really want to get your attention here because this is important stuff. And I said it before, I'll repeat myself. You cannot ignore this. So why do I say that? Why do I say it's so important? Why can't you ignore it? A few different reasons. Number one, because the number and overall quality of the reviews about your agency can play a major role in your search rankings, whether you show up first or last or not at all when people go to Google and they search for an insurance agent. Now, right now, all the indications are that reviews are becoming a larger and larger factor year after year. And basically, that's just a result of more and more people going out and writing reviews, more and more people using reviews. So if you're going to ignore this, you're missing out on an opportunity to show up higher in the search results. Now, another reason is because if you don't work hard now to get some positive reviews, inevitably, whether it's your fault or it's not, somebody's going to go out there and have some bad experience and you're going to get blasted. So how do you prevent this? The honest truth is you can't. Unless you're going to have your business under a rock where nobody can find you, if you're going to be out there, you cannot prevent this. But what you can do is you can work hard to get your satisfied clients to go out there and write nice things about you so that when that bad review does come in, it's one bad review out of 7 or 8 positive ones. Now, I can almost surely promise you that anyone who comes across your profile on Google or Yelp, if they only see one review and it's bad, you're not going to get a phone call. 100% of what they read about you is negative. Now, you take that same review, that same bad review, and you hide it with a bunch of other ones, and people aren't really going to notice, or they're just going to think, God, that's just one of those guys who's not happy about anything. All right, so the first reason I mentioned is for SEO. It's important for your rankings on Google. The second reason is to prevent a major PR disaster that will occur if you don't do something about it, because somebody who inevitably is going to wind up being unhappy is going to write the one review about your agency. And the third reason is because it's a huge, nearly untapped opportunity for new business that is only becoming bigger and bigger day after day, month after month. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. When it comes to making purchasing decisions, consumers in our society are becoming more and more reliant on the opinion of the crowd. Consumers, like me and you, when we're not trying to sell insurance, consumers don't trust what companies say about themselves. They place a much greater deal of trust in what other people say about their companies. And as the world becomes more and more connected, it's easier to find out what 100 people think about another business or a movie or a product or whatever it is. And people are just really embracing that more and more. And I'll use myself as an example. If I'm going to make a big purchase at a store or even a little purchase, I was at Staples the other day looking at paper shredders. And there was this one that was on sale for like, I don't know, it was 75% off. And I pulled out my iPhone and I looked it up on Amazon and I saw that this thing got 2-star reviews from 100 people. And I wasn't even going to take the chance with it. Now, I wasn't even making an online decision, but I was using the crowd to try to determine if this was a good product. You know, I'll tell you, every Sunday night when my wife and I are finally getting a chance to sit back and relax and watch a movie together, we'll oftentimes look at IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, on our phones to look at, you know, different movies that we're trying to decide what we might want to watch. And then even more rare is every now and then when we get a chance to go out to a local restaurant without the kids, which is like never. my wife will spend so much time looking at and reading and scouring over those different reviews. Now, that's just one example, but you know, that's from my own life. And I think a lot of people are seeing this in their own lives, but just in consumer mentality in general. So I'm not saying that everybody uses reviews to choose their insurance agent. In fact, right now, that's really not a very prominent thing, but they will. I promise you that they will. So how does this help for sales? Well, a couple reasons. Reason number one, obviously, is that if somebody's looking for an insurance agent, they come to you and you have the highest reviews, you're going to look better and there's a better chance that they might call you up. But there's actually some deeper reasons that I want to express. First of all, and I probably shouldn't even say this because it might just give you an excuse to stick your head in the sand and look the other way. But the truth is that very few agents are even aware of the opportunity out there that they can have by building up their reviews. You know, you go out to Yelp or Google in any major city, and the number of insurance agent reviews is very small. Just getting 5 or 6 people to say a little something nice about you could put you at the top of that list. You could really stand out. And it doesn't matter. You could be in business for 3 months and you would stand out. You could look so much larger and bigger and more established than somebody who's been in business for 30 years. And there's another factor too, which is that it's about more than just the rankings of your reviews. It's about the number of reviews. Because you see, the more reviews you have, the more popular you look. And the more likely people will feel comfortable buying from you because they know that so many other people have before as well. It's called social proof, and it works like this. Every time we buy something, there's always this risk that, we might make a bad decision. And when somebody sees on Google that you have 20 reviews for your agency and the next guy has 3 or 4, even if his are better than yours, those people who are shopping are still going to find comfort in reaching out to you because it's obvious that so many other people have already bought from you. I mean, if you've got 20 reviews and the other guy has 4, it almost looks like you're 4 or 5 times as big as he is. That 4 or 5 times more people have actually trusted you with their insurance than your competitor. So it's even about more than just having high reviews. It's about having a high number of reviews because you're going to look popular. And people want to be, they like the comfort of knowing that they're with a company that is popular. So that was my little rant about why it's so important and why it's such an amazing opportunity for an agent like yourself to build up and grow your online reviews. But before I go into the 10 different ideas for getting more reviews, I just want to make sure you're aware of a couple of things. Number one, don't fake reviews. Google and Yelp are basically, they're putting a lot of their reputation on the line here by putting people's reviews out there. And if it was real easy, if they allowed it to be real easy to just set up 20 different profiles and write 20 amazing reviews, then normal website visitors would find zero value in those reviews out there, and nobody would use Google or Yelp. And they're afraid of that. And for that reason, those companies are getting very, very good at identifying the legit reviews and the fake ones. So, they'll look at things like how long an account has been active for, actually how active it is, like how many reviews the person writes, physically where the person actually logs in from, and a bunch of other spots. So, what you don't want to do is be on their naughty list. You want to be on their good list by getting real legitimate reviews. There is a small little exception to that, which I'll explain later. Another thing is, don't have clients use your computer to write their reviews. Now, I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world necessarily, but it will look suspicious if Google or Yelp sees a bunch of reviews that are all from your business and they're all coming from the computers with your IP address. That is something that they can tell. They can very easily tell that all those reviews were written by the exact same computer, and it's, again, I just don't want to get you on the naughty list. So for these reasons, basically, you want to try to get people to write their reviews with the websites that they would normally be most active with, the ones that they would most likely use. So if somebody has a Gmail account that they use all the time, but they're never on Yelp, you really don't want to push them to go sign up for Yelp. You want to push them to use the Google review or even the Yahoo review, whatever it is. Whatever they're active with, you'll get more legs out of the review if you get them to make that review with the account that they use actively. It's going to look a lot better. So anyways, enough background about these reviews. Let's talk about 10 ways that you can actually actively go after getting more reviews. Thing number one that you can do is basically just ask your customers for a review at every single positive interaction that you have. All right, so getting online reviews is a lot like making a sale. If you don't ask for it, it's not going to happen. And this advice probably seems a little bit simplistic, but it's not. The important part is to actually set yourself the goal and your staff or your coworkers that you're going to ask for a review from every customer during every positive experience and then follow through. Okay. Now you can break the ice by asking some kind of a question like, hey, do you ever write online reviews on sites like Google or Yelp? And if the person says yes, then, it wouldn't be a stretch for you to, ask at that point. If they say no, they've never done it before. Well, maybe you can have a conversation about how easy it is and how much you appreciate it. If you don't ask, you will not get reviews. It's just like you can't hit a home run if you don't swing the bat. So another tip you can do is you could put a little sign on the counter. You can go out to Walmart and for a couple bucks, you can get one of those, paper-sized 8.5 by 11 plastic little frames that you can set on your desk and, have somebody who's good at Photoshop just design something that says, we really appreciate when customers are happy with our service. If they write a review for us online, if you've liked what we've done for you, please take a moment to say thanks online so that other people can see. I'm being very verbose here. I guess you want to keep it as simple as possible, but just put a little request there and put a picture of a bunch of your people smiling, and then you're probably going to want to add like a Yelp logo and a Google Yogo and Yahoo, but the different sites that you're going after, you're going to want to put something in there about them. Now, is this going to convince somebody, putting a sign up on the desk, is that going to convince somebody who never even uses a computer to go out and write a review for you? No, it's not. But it is going to remind and encourage someone who is already a reviewer to go out and write one for you. So, and also once the sign's up, you really don't have to think about it. So that was number 2. Number 3, put links in your email signature. So most email programs allow you to set up an automatic signature, which, puts in like your sincerely John Carroll, whatever, your tagline or whatever it is on all of your outgoing emails. So you can put a line in that signature that says something like, hey, if you like what I'm doing, please let others know with a positive review online. Click here. And of course, the click here would be a link that could go directly to one of your profiles on Google or Yahoo, or you could even set it up so that they could choose who they want to write a profile for you. So the reason why this works so well is there's actually a few different reasons. Now, number one, once it's set up, it's going to be there in all of the hundreds or thousands of emails that you send. But it's also great because when somebody's reading your email, as opposed to maybe talking to you on the phone, they're in front of their computer. So it's that much easier to click the thing and go out and write a review for you. Now, the third thing, the other thing about this is you always have to be aware of it, because when you're sending somebody an email that says their policy has been canceled and they have to pay you another $200 on something that's not even there anymore, you're probably going to want to delete that from your signature. So it gives you a little bit more control over who gets to see that and who doesn't. So that was number 3, is to use your email signature. Number 4 is to add links on your website. So one of the most important elements of getting people to take any kind of action is to make it as easy as possible. And if you make a page on your website that explains, goes into detail, or maybe not too much detail, but it talks about how much you appreciate those reviews and how so many of your customers are already out there writing reviews, and you have links right there that take people right to the page where they can do that, it's going to make it a little bit easier for them. One of the tips that I like to recommend to agents is to take this page, hey, we love reviews, click here to give us a review page, and put it somewhere on your website that is not easy to find. And the reason that that's a great idea is because you can send somebody an email after they've just had a positive experience. So you just helped them with a claim and they're on cloud 9 because everything went so perfectly. You can send them a link and say, hey, click here and choose where you'd like to write an online review for us. But at the same time, that guy who hates your guts and he's on your website looking to call you up and chew you out, he's not going to be able to find that page. So, you can kind of make those links a little bit hidden on your website. That's probably even a better tactic. So that was tip number 4. Tip number 5 is you can incent people to actually write reviews. Now, I'm not talking about giving $10, to go out and write, word for word what you ask them to. But I don't really see anything majorly wrong with telling people, hey, we value it so much that if you'd go out and say whatever you feel about us, hey, we'll give you a gift certificate for a small pizza across the street, or a free car wash, or some other benefit with another local community business. So, that's another thing that you could do. Idea number 6 is to send extra emails specifically after positive customer interactions. So let's say that you have a positive interaction with a client. A few days later, when everything is been taken care of and there's no further problems, you just send them a very casual email. Hey, I just want to make sure everything is okay. And when they come back to you and they say, yes, it is, everything was great, I really appreciate it, then you fire back at them and you say, well, if you really feel that way, here's how you can say thank you. It would really mean a lot to me. And by the way, here's a link that could take you right there. That was number 6, sending emails specifically after positive customer interactions. Number 7 is to use your social networks. So you can make a post out there on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, really wherever you're most actively engaged. And, you got to be a little bit creative about it. So one thing you could do is you could do it on a Friday afternoon, and say something like, make a post that says, hey, first person to go out and write us a review on Google or Yahoo or Yelp, we will send a pizza to their house at 6 p.m. tonight. So you're sitting there on Friday afternoon at work, you're bored, and all of a sudden, somebody just delivering dinner to your family at 6 p.m. sounds pretty cool. The real number 7 was to use your social networks to ask for those reviews, but I'm also kind of adding a little extra thing to it, which is trying to make it interesting or engaging in some way other than just, hey, do me a favor and I have nothing to offer you. Tip number 8 for getting more online reviews is to add some kind of messaging about your online reviews with your on-hold messaging. Your on-hold messaging is, that thing when you put people on hold and it says, hey, welcome, thank you for holding with the Jacobson Agency. You could add something to that says, just so you know, this is something that we take very, very valuably. So if you have something nice to say, we really appreciate it if you went out and wrote it online. Now, I do want to give you a word of caution here. If people are typically on hold in your agency for long periods of time, this might not be a good tactic. In fact, when is being on hold ever a good tactic? Maybe we should just scrap that one altogether. I'm going to cross it off my sheet. All right, you're done. Just forget I ever said that one. So number 8 is to develop a list of your review targets. So for example, let's say during your sales conversation, as you're getting somebody signed up to come on board with the agency, find a way to casually talk about whether or not they ever do review local businesses. If they say, yeah, this is something that I do a lot, or no, I don't. If they tell you that, yes, they do actively review businesses, you could develop a little list of customers who've indicated to you that this is something that they do. And then basically you put them on your we love you list, and you send them flowers and you send them gifts. And then, a couple times a year, you send them out an email that says, hey, we really appreciate positive reviews. If you like what we do, if you feel valued by our agency, please click here, click here, click here, and go out and write a review for us. And the reason that this is a good tactic is because what you're doing is you're identifying maybe the 10% of your audience, of your clients, who are actually active in the online review networks. And by going after them, number one, you're going to be more likely to actually get those positive reviews. But number two, those reviews are going to mean a lot more through the rankings of like Yelp and Google, because if somebody never writes a review and they go out and they write a review, that's not as valued with Google and Yelp as that person who's like a power reviewer who's known to write a lot of reviews, and sometimes they're nice and sometimes they're not nice. I think on Yelp they call them power reviewers. I don't know what they call them, but there's an actual algorithm that they use to determine who writes a lot of reviews and who is their word is actually worthwhile, and then who is maybe just kind of doing it to be nice this one or two times. So those people who write a lot of reviews, those are the most important that you get those positive reviews. The last one, number 10, is to actually go out. And I know earlier I told you don't make up fake reviews, but there is kind of an exception to that. I am going to encourage you to go out and get that first review out there. And the reason is that so many people in so many different things, it's kind of a psychological phenomenon, is that nobody wants to be the first one to do something. Now, if you're going to do this, take my advice. Use an active profile, okay? Don't go out to Google or Yelp and just set one up to make this first review. You want to try to use a profile that you're already using. And if you don't have one, then personally, I'd probably set one up and use it for a month or two before I went and wrote that review, and actually review other businesses and give some good ones and some bad ones. Be honest about it. And don't do it from there in your office. Don't use the same profile that you're also using to manage your business profile on that website. So, if you have to use your spouse's profile or, some other friend or relative, get one that's not so closely related to your business and your location. Basically, that's all I've got about reviews here today. And if you've made it this far, I'll assume that you've found value in the content. I really hope that what I've talked about is going to inspire you to go out and actually get some reviews, because I honestly, truly believe that you're going to see more and more of an impact from that type of online exposure right now. With that being said, I now have a favor to ask from you. If you are finding value in these podcasts, would you please go out to iTunes and write a 5-star review about this podcast? It'll take you less than 60 seconds, and it would go a long way toward encouraging me to keep producing free, valuable content like this. Now, I'll include a link in the show notes about this episode, which you can go to just by going to InsuranceSplash.com/4, the number 4. InsuranceSplash.com/4. I'll have a link that'll take you right to iTunes. You could write a positive review there. If you don't have positive things to say, then send me an email. Give me a chance to improve it. Anyways, whether you write a positive review or not, I do appreciate and I truly value your time. And I want to leave you with a quote from Seth Godin. He's an internet marketing guru. He's one of my heroes, and I think it really suits this topic quite well. It's maybe a little bit longer than a quote. It comes off of his blog, but he says this. The title is, "You will be judged or you will be ignored." Those are pretty much the only two choices. Being judged is uncomfortable. Snap judgments, prejudices, misinformation, all of these combined with not enough time, how could there be, to truly know you, means that you will inevitably be misjudged, underestimated, or overestimated, and unfairly rejected. The alternative, of course, is much safer: to be ignored. It's up to you. So get out there and get some online reviews. All right, thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Insurance Marketing with John Carroll, brought to you by InsuranceSplash.com. Now get out there and sell insurance.